Hey, I'm Corinne and I'm the founder of Speckled, the tool that helps PMs build the right thing at the right time. Today we're going to be talking about storytelling. We're going to be talking about why you need to add storytelling to your tool belt as a product manager. And we're going to go over a simple 4-step framework to telling a decent story. As a product manager, one of your primary jobs is to communicate the why behind many of the decisions that you're making on the product front. And a wishy-washy why isn't going to get people excited. You need to get people excited about what it is that you're doing with your product. They need to know, so what? Why does this matter? Who cares? And what's in it for me? And a good story is going to get people on board, is going to help them understand what you're trying to get done. And let's be honest, what human doesn't love a good story? Now, when I talk about stories, I'm not necessarily talking about these long, epic stories you might think of like in a movie or a book or a TV show. We're not going to be doing any of that. We're just going to be covering some very simple elements that you can cover when you're talking about something that you're trying to get through. Step 1 in telling a decent story is to do a little bit of pre-work. So here you're going to want to determine what the message that you want to get across is. Maybe you want to convince someone to build a feature. Maybe you have a great pitch for a new product, or maybe you just want to get your engineering team excited about a new feature that isn't really all that exciting. So here you got to determine your message. Let's take, for example, let's take a story about someone who needs to try to get people on board with building more integrations for their product. So let's say I need more integrations for my users. Okay, so we know we want to talk about the reason why integrations are great. So let's go on to the next step, which is setting the scene. So this is where we're going to talk about what's going on, give a little bit of background information, talk about who our hero is. Make sure your hero isn't you. Make sure it's someone else, like a user or a stakeholder or something like that. So for example, in this story, it would be a busy user has all of these applications. They just added ours to the mix, and they're kind of, they're struggling a little bit because they have to manually add things from our application to the other applications that they're using. All right, so that's setting up the scene. The next step is to outline the conflict and describe the attempts to solve the problem so far. So our hero of the story, she has a lot of tools. She's trying to integrate everything, but she can't find any integrations. She's manually adding everything. She's getting really sick of it, and she's not using the tool as much, and she thinks she's going to cancel. Yikes. So we have, the setup of the conflict is that she's frustrated, and her attempts to solve the problem so far, she's manually doing everything. And now we're moving on to step 3, which is where we reveal the solution and really try to drive home the message. So this is the part where we build an integration for this user, and she realizes that she no longer has to manually go between all of these applications. It can do it automatically. And instead of canceling her subscription, she's actually upgraded to an annual plan. And the message of the story is that integrations can prevent frustration and can help us retain users. And that's the end of the story. It's nothing crazy, but it can help you drive home the point of what it is that you want to get done. It doesn't have to be crazy long, it doesn't have to be super detailed, but it is a good way of getting a little bit more exciting and a little bit more in-depth with the why of whatever it is that you're trying to pitch. So we talked about why you need to become better at storytelling, and we talked about the 4 steps to telling a better story. Figuring out your message, setting the scene, outlining the conflict and describing the attempts to solve the problem so far, and then revealing the solution and driving the message home. If you like this content, be sure to subscribe to our blog at getspeckled.com/blog. Just drop your email there, and every Sunday we send out a newsletter with the top stories of the week for PMs at small software companies. And in the meantime, go tell a story.